Situated on a picturesque, rolling coastal plateau between the Outeniqua Mountains and the Indian Ocean lies the city of George, capital of the Southern Cape region and where our journey begins. It is interesting to note that a town in Penang, Malaysia, has at least one thing in common with the city of George. What is it? Well, both George in South Africa and Georgetown in Malaysia were named after King George III, the reigning monarch at the time this former woodcutters' outpost became a district or drosti in 1811. Talking about woodcutters and the year 1811 reminds one that the old drosti house now houses the George Museum, and here the once flourishing timber industry is the main theme. Old timber tools, implements, and a restored yellowwood woodcutter's cottage can be seen. This is a wonderful place to begin any journey into the garden route, which lies within the so-called Cape Floral Kingdom. 90,000 square kilometers in all, and home to 8,700 species of plants, of which 68% are endemic to the region. Our journey of 70 kilometers will take us through two important vegetation types: Afro-montane forest and fynbos. Afro-montane forests vary from dry through to moist and wet forest types. Dry forest is generally found on the northern slopes of the coastal belt and has a scrub-like appearance. Moist forest is found on the plains and is also known as high forest, with trees like stinkwood, yellowwood and ironwood in abundance. Wet forest, on the other hand, is found in deep, perennially damp ravines. The most important trees are red and white cedar and tree fuchsia. The name fynbos comes from the Dutch for fine-leafed shrubs. This type of vegetation covers most of the valleys and coastal plains of the southern and southwestern Cape and consists of plants like heather, protea and restio. The city of George is blessed not only with a modern and efficient infrastructure, but also with excellent air, bus and of course rail links. Our link for today's trip is the world-renowned Outeniqua Tjoo Tjoe, which is South Africa's last scheduled mixed train service. It operates on the Outeniqua Preserved Railway Line, winding through some of the most beautiful scenery in the country, and referred to by many as the Garden of Eden. We shall soon be seeing just why. Our first port of call, in a ferro-equinologist sense, and before we even arrive at the George Station, is the Outeniqua Railway Museum, the only national railway museum in South Africa, with 15,000 square meters under roof and 4 railway lines running into the building. The museum houses rail and road transport items, as well as other memorabilia. Indeed, the Outeniqua Tjoo Tjoe will shortly be leaving from a platform within the museum, a unique terminal building. When we do arrive at George Station, we find a building very elegantly restored to its former gabled glory. Some of it built in 1893, and its oldie-worldy ticket office adds to the overall effect of Kempness, which is evident on the platforms. There is just something about a good old-fashioned train ride to raise a sense of expectation. We become aware of a heightened noise level and raised, excited voices as the train gives its first forward jolt. Even as we wind our way through the less fashionable side of town, we are struck by the happy, smiling faces and the waves of children and adults alike. This being a timber-producing region, much of the housing is wooden, and one can be forgiven for thinking one has stumbled across an unknown outpost of Switzerland. One soon realizes that this trip is not for the impatient traveler, or the one who wants to get from point A to point B in a hurry. This train averages about 20 kilometers an hour, and the best way to appreciate the ride is simply to relax and enjoy. Every kilometer which passes is like being present at an animated art exhibition, each one presenting a new canvas that calls forth exclamations of pleasure, thanks to the profusion of scenic delights. 42 miles of smiles, said one excited traveller. Soon we are passing through fern-covered valleys and deep gullies of eucalyptus, pine, and indigenous fynbos. And the abundance and variety of the various heathers, ericas, proteas, and wisteria is simply stunning. Our first glimpse of the Indian Ocean is at Victoria Bay. Here the train emerges from the plateau above and winds majestically around the face of the hill above a pristine bay, which is a favorite recreation area for many locals and visitors. Described by many as the gem of the garden route, this minute bay only has 12 dwellings. Or should that be 13, lucky for some. The mild winter weather lends itself to bathing, snorkeling, surfing, and whale and dolphin watching. The recreational facilities have recently been upgraded, making Vic Bay a must on any visit to the area. We pass through a number of short tunnels, and as the train emerges from the last tunnel, the vistas of the Caimans River, the waves dashing themselves against the rocks, and the beaches and sea beyond open up in all their glory. The curved bridge over the Caimans River, 156 meters long, consists of 15 piers and presented Mr. M.D. Valero, the civil engineer, with numerous problems. A remarkable feature is the level walkway with a pronounced cant. To achieve this, all 260 sleepers were specially sawn and tapered individually. The bridge was eventually opened for traffic on the 11th of December 1928. 13 months after the originally projected date. Just on 30 minutes after leaving George, we arrive in the wilderness, which lies between the Caimans River and the Goukamma Nature Reserve. From as long ago as the early 19th century, this seaside resort was renowned for its beauty, tranquility, and absence of wild stormy seas and windswept headlands. Encompassed within the municipal boundaries of the wilderness is the 2,500-hectare Wilderness National Park, which, with its 5 rivers, 5 lakes, and 18 kilometers of coastline, is home to a wealth of estuarine, marine, and evergreen forest species of birdlife. One could spend a good deal of time exploring this area. There are excellent hiking trails, mountain biking trails, and for the truly adventurous, there is hang gliding and paragliding in weather conditions which are widely recognized as the best in the country. Accommodation in the wilderness, as is the case everywhere on the garden route, varies from bed and breakfast establishments. Names like Wiesenhof Lodge, House Wilderness, and Interlaken Guest House remind us of the international appeal of the area, to excellent hotels. There are flea markets and craft stalls all along the garden route, where one is able to purchase genuine home crafts and African art. After a stop at the wilderness, just one of the extremely picturesque stations, we start making our way towards what could be described as an African lakeland. So numerous and attractive are the sheets of water which occur with pleasing frequency. En route, we are reminded of a bygone era, when it was not unusual for motor vehicles to have to stop at a level crossing and wait for the train to pass. As we wind our way through the glistening lakes of the Sedgefield district, one thing becomes obvious, and that is that South Africans are a nation of people who mess about in boats. Speedboats, riverboats, rowing boats, yachts, and even pedal pushers are to be found in abundance. It It is perhaps appropriate to mention that the mascot for the area is the tortoise. Indeed, the pace of this small town with its swart vlei, or black lake, pine-covered hills and beautiful unspoiled beaches is that of the tortoise. The stop in Sedgefield is by force of circumstances a fairly lengthy one, made even more so if a tourist or two go AWOL, because it is here that the George-bound Tjoo Tjoe is able to pass us by. As usual, the pace is somewhat pedestrian, to say the least. Nevertheless, a cup of coffee in the steam whistle stop enables us to breathe in the atmosphere and adds to the enjoyment and hospitality of the town. Before climbing the hills flanking the shores of the Knysna Lagoon, one sees anxious motorists speeding along the N2 highway. A look across at Lake Pleasant elicits a feeling of, well, pleasant detachment. After all, who needs the hustle and bustle of a city when you have this? Beautiful green hills of Afro-montane forests and fynbos surround the farms and settlements. And then, through the eucalyptus trees, we glimpse the Knysna Lagoon for the first time. One's first impression is of the magnificent houses and villas that overlook the lagoon. And beyond the lagoon and dwellings, the Tsitsikamma Mountains, which form a natural amphitheatre around Knysna. Knysna grew as a result of the incredible natural beauty, and indeed, there is beauty in abundance. The Knysna Oyster Company maintains a good many oyster beds in the lagoon, and for the aficionado of things slippery, these can be enjoyed out at the company's premises on Thiessen's Island. The name Thiessen has been a prominent one in the Knysna district for a century or so, and it was Charles Wilhelm Thiessen who, having interest in timber and shipping, suggested the construction of a forest railway. The Cape Government Railways was very interested in the concept, because they were having to import all the sleepers they needed for rail expansion programs. Thus, in 1904, the South Western Railway Company Limited came into being, and a line of 35 kilometers was constructed between Knysna and Deep Walls via the Thiessen timber yards at Bracken Hill. The 24-inch gauge railway became known as the Coffee Pot Railway because of its quaint locomotives. And the driver, Tom Kennett, was probably the only engine driver ever to have to travel with an axe to cut up trees pushed onto the line by the legendary Knysna elephants. Alas, in 1949, the company was wound up. The rolling stock was removed and the track was lifted. The forest moved in and reclaimed its own. Once we have crossed right over the lagoon on a long bridge built on islands and earthworks, we sadly have to bid farewell to a line which took 24 years to build, from the planning stage to its official opening on the 17th of October 1928. The then Minister of Railways and Harbours said in his speech on that day, "You are living in paradise." As we leave the Tjoo Tjoe this morning, there is much more of paradise for us yet to enjoy. Cleverly, the business fraternity has developed the new Knysna Quays Mall alongside the Knysna station. And this blurb from one of its ads says it all. They're shopping and they're shipping. Eating and drinking at Knysna's favourite friendliest mall. Get a gift, dine at a deli, relax at a restaurant or board a boat. Family entertainment begins at the Knysna Quays. A boat trip to the heads, 2 sandstone sentinels marking the entrance to the Knysna Lagoon and beyond, in a river cat, is an adventure never to be forgotten. There is also a 4-hour excursion to the Featherbed Nature Reserve, where a meal in the Milkwood Forest is an absolute delight. In past centuries, there were a number of dramatic shipwrecks, and today scuba enthusiasts rate a dive to the wreck of the Parkita to be a highlight of any visit to Knysna. A walk around the Knysna treasure trove is an absolute must. There are so many interesting people and places, artists and buskers, galleries, flea markets and workshops. Knysna is also home to 280 species of birds, including the magnificent Knysna lory and 5 species of kingfisher. Numerous raptors are to be seen, as well as the elusive Narina trogon. On the way to a treasure trove of a different kind, the beautiful Seven Passes Road, which is the original Knysna to George link, we pop into the Belvedere Church and Belvedere Manor Hotel, which is celebrating its 150th anniversary in November 1999. Thomas Duthie bought the land from George Rex, Knysna's founder, and reputed to be the son of King George III, when he married Rex's daughter Caroline. Initially, the family moved into a small cottage, which was built where the present Bell Tavern is situated. But in Duthie's own words, "We find ourselves much crowded with so many bairns." Plans were drawn up for a new house, the cornerstone of which was laid on October the 27th, 1848. In one sense, as we begin our journey along the Seven Passes Road, the end of our journey has begun. However, there is still much for the eyes to feast upon as we make our way through the very heart of the Knysna forest. The road took Thomas Bain and his slaves 15 years to construct and is now a national monument. En route, we will cross 7 historical bridges, the Kaimonts, the Gokama and the Karatara, to name just a few, and traverse the 7 passes, which give the road its name. And we will need to keep our eyes peeled just in case we come across the infamous remaining Knysna elephant. The town of Millwood, a 10-kilometer drive off the Seven Passes Road and deep in the Knysna forest, came into existence in the 1880s, when it was discovered that there was gold in them thar hills. A farmer called James Hooper discovered a particularly heavy stone in the Karatara River, and his engineer friend, Charles Osborne, confirmed that it was gold-bearing ore. Established in 1886, the village boomed for 4 short years, until in 1890 word came that gold had been discovered in Barberton, in the then Eastern Transvaal. This was the beginning of the end for Millwood, and by 1924 the gold fields had been deproclaimed. Most of the artifacts from the town are now to be found in the Knysna Museum. This 800-year-old Podocarpus fulcatus, or Outeniqua yellowwood, at Woodville, is some 4 meters in diameter and 33 meters high. It is known as the Big Tree, and what better place is there for a leisurely picnic? We end our journey of a lifetime fittingly at the King George Protea Hotel, which is a Victorian-style lodging house at the foot of the Outeniqua Mountains, where we started our trip. Here we end our trip of a lifetime and bid farewell to the tranquility of the garden route, hopefully not for the last time.